The cafeteria hummed with the usual lunchtime buzz, a sea of students bent over trays and glued to their smartphones. Amara sat alone at her usual table, idly picking at her food, wishing to blend into the background. She adjusted her wig nervously, ensuring it sat just right. It was a new one, and she still wasn't used to how it felt. Suddenly, the chatter died down. A voice cut through the quiet, Kelsey's, dripping with mock sweetness. "Hey, Amara, love the new hair. Is that the latest trend for the dollar store?" Amara froze, her fork suspended midair. She felt the weight of 100 eyes on her, her heart pounding as she struggled to steady her breath. Kelsey sauntered over, her entourage trailing behind like perfectly groomed shadows. "It's a bold choice," Kelsey continued, her smirk widening. "Very synthetic chic. But hey, at least it covers up that chrome dome of yours, right?" Laughter rippled through the cafeteria. Amara's cheeks burned as she stared at her tray, wishing she could disappear. The wig she had hoped would help her fit in now felt like a neon sign broadcasting her difference. "What's the matter, Amara?" Kelsey leaned closer, her voice dropping to a mock whisper. "Cat got your tongue? Or should I say, cue ball got your hair?" The nickname hit her like a slap. Cue ball. Amara could already hear it echoing through the hallways and plastered across social media. Tears pricked her eyes as she fought to hold herself together. Around her, students shifted uncomfortably. Some laughed along, eager to stay on Kelsey's good side, while others averted their gaze, too timid to intervene. Amara's hands trembled as she gathered her things. She had to leave before she completely broke down. As she stood, the screech of her chair against the floor only drew more attention. "Leaving so soon?" Kelsey called after her, her voice laced with mockery. "Don't forget your cue stick." That final jab was too much. Amara bolted from the cafeteria, tears streaming down her face. She ran blindly through the halls, barely noticing the concerned glances of teachers and students, before locking herself in a bathroom stall. Only then did she let the tears fall freely, her whole body shaking with the force of her sobs. In the cafeteria, Kelsey basked in the attention, her friends high-fiving her as she reveled in the power she held over her peers. Yet, as the laughter died down, a flicker of doubt crossed her face. She thought of her sister Mariah and the colorful scarves that wrapped her bald head. But Kelsey pushed the thought away, burying it under layers of bravado. The seeds of change had been planted. Neither Amara, curled up in a bathroom stall, nor Kelsey, walking the hallways with an air of triumph, realized how their paths were about to collide, changing both their lives forever. Against the backdrop of darkness, the artwork stood out, a beacon of hope amid the chaos. As Amara painted, memories surfaced. Her mother's unwavering support, the quiet strength she discovered within herself on impossible days. These reflections emerged subtly on the canvas in delicate touches of light and color. Ms. Carter encouraged Amara to explore new perspectives. What if you could step outside the storm for a moment? What would you see? This question prompted Amara to soften the edges of her work with gentle hues, hinting at a world beyond the immediate darkness. The final piece was a striking interplay of light and shadow, pain and resilience. It told Amara's story without words. Stepping back, Amara studied her completed work. A faint smile touched her lips, the first in weeks. Pride stirred within her. Beside her, Ms. Carter's admiration was evident. "Amara, this is extraordinary," she said. "You've transformed your pain into something beautiful and powerful. How do you feel looking at it?" Amara inhaled deeply. "I feel seen," she said softly. "Like all the parts of me I've been hiding are there on the canvas. And they're not ugly or shameful. They're just me." This moment marked a turning point. Art had given Amara a voice for emotions she couldn't express in words. As she packed up her supplies, a subtle confidence shone in her movements. While the challenges of Westview High still loomed, Amara had discovered a powerful outlet for self-expression and healing. With each new creation, she was rediscovering her strength. Kelsey sat by Mariah's hospital bed, their fingers intertwined. The steady beeping of machines filled the room, a reminder of Mariah's fragile condition. Dark circles framed Kelsey's eyes, evidence of sleepless nights spent by her sister's side. When Mariah stirred, her weak smile was enough to light up the room. "Kels," Mariah rasped, her voice hoarse. "You're here." Kelsey leaned forward, forcing brightness into her voice. "Of course, Squirt. Wouldn't miss our daily gossip session." Mariah's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Tell me about school. Anything exciting happen?" The question hit Kelsey like a blow. The cafeteria scene replayed in her mind. Her cruel words, Amara's stricken face, the laughter of her friends. Guilt churned in her stomach. "Nothing much," Kelsey lied, her smile tight. "Just boring classes and homework." Mariah frowned, sensing something amiss. "You look sad. Are you okay, Kels?" Kelsey blinked back tears. "I'm fine. Just tired. What about you? How was your day?" Before Mariah could answer, a nurse entered, her cheerful demeanor cutting through the tension. "How are we doing, Miss Mariah?" she asked, checking the monitors. "You've got a special visitor coming soon." Mariah's face lit up with excitement. Kelsey, however, felt a flicker of unease. Who could it be? As footsteps echoed in the hallway, Kelsey's heart raced. The door swung open, and her breath caught. Amara stood in the doorway, holding a beautifully decorated wig stand. For a moment, time seemed to freeze as their eyes met. Kelsey's mind raced, the sting of her past cruelty fresh against the quiet strength Amara exuded now. Amara hesitated briefly, then stepped into the room, her attention shifting to Mariah. "Hi there," she said gently. "You must be Mariah." "I'm Amara. I brought something special for you." Mariah's eyes widened. "Really? For me?" Amara smiled and approached the bed, placing the stand on the table. "I heard you were looking for a place to keep your wigs, so I made this for you." The stand was breathtaking, adorned with vibrant swirls of color and words like strong, beautiful, and brave, painted in elegant script. Mariah's fingers traced the patterns, her face awash with wonder. "It's so pretty," she whispered. "Did you really make this for me?" "I did," Amara said softly. "I know how important it is to feel good about yourself, especially during tough times." Kelsey watched in silence, guilt gnawing at her. The contrast between her actions and Amara's kindness was stark and humbling. Mariah, eyes bright with curiosity, asked, "Can you tell me about the words?" Amara nodded. "Each word represents something important. Bold for courage, beautiful for strength, and strong for the resilience you show every day." Mariah's fingers lingered on the word strong. "Sometimes I don't feel very strong," she admitted. Amara's gaze softened. "Strength isn't about always feeling powerful. It's about facing each day, no matter what comes. You do that, Mariah. That makes you incredibly strong." The moment left Kelsey shaken, forcing her to confront the truth about herself and the girl she had underestimated. Kelsey observed as tears welled in her sister's eyes, reflecting a profound understanding. In that moment, she no longer saw Mariah as a fragile patient, but as a resilient fighter. Amara reached in her bag and pulled out a small, colorful scarf. "I brought this for you too," she said, handing it to Mariah with a warm smile. "I thought we could decorate it together. Make it uniquely yours." Mariah's face lit up with excitement, her earlier weariness replaced with enthusiasm as she and Amara began brainstorming design ideas. Watching them, Kelsey felt a shift within herself. The scarf and wig stand weren't merely thoughtful gifts. They symbolized a new perspective on beauty and self-worth. In Mariah, a newfound confidence seemed to take root, while Kelsey felt the first cracks form in the armor of her hardened exterior. Unable to process her emotions, Kelsey stumbled out of Mariah's hospital room, her legs heavy as if weighed down by the gravity of her actions. She leaned against the cool wall of the corridor, her breath shallow and uneven as memories of her cruel words to Amara resurfaced. The guilt she had pushed aside now overwhelmed her. A soft touch on her arm startled her. A nurse stood beside her, concern etched on her face. "Are you all right, dear? Do you need to sit down?" Kelsey tried to answer, but no words came. Her composure shattered, and tears began to fall. "I've been so horrible," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I thought I was strong, but I've just been scared." The nurse guided her to a nearby chair, sitting beside her as Kelsey's facade crumbled completely. Through her tears, she confided her fears for Mariah, her struggles to maintain a perfect image, and the regret over how she had treated Amara. As she spoke, Kelsey felt a subtle shift within, a recognition of the gap between her actions and the person she wanted to be. "I don't know how to fix this," she admitted, her voice small. "How do I even begin to make amends?" The nurse squeezed her hand gently. "Acknowledging your mistakes is the first step," she said with quiet compassion. "The next is deciding to do better. It won't be easy, but it's not impossible." Kelsey nodded, wiping her eyes. The hallway's quiet buzz seemed less daunting now, as though a weight had lifted. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. Taking a deep breath, she stood, ready to face the journey of making amends. She resolved to become the kind of person her sister could look up to, a source of strength and kindness. The school auditorium buzzed with anticipation as students filed in, whispering speculations about the sudden assembly. Principal Anderson took the stage, his expression serious. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," he began. "One of your peers has requested to address you all today." The murmurs grew louder as Kelsey stepped onto the stage. Gone was her usual confidence. Her steps were hesitant, her shoulders slightly hunched. Her unexpected appearance silenced the crowd as curiosity turned into intrigue. Taking her place at the microphone, Kelsey gripped the stand, her hands trembling. She scanned the sea of faces, hesitating as doubt flickered across her features. Then her gaze landed on someone in the audience, and her resolve seemed to solidify. "I'm here to apologize," she began, her voice unsteady. "Specifically, to apologize to Amara." The auditorium fell silent, hundreds of eyes darting between Kelsey and Amara, who sat frozen near the back. Kelsey's voice grew steadier as she continued, recounting her cruel actions and expressing deep regret. "I've been thoughtless and unkind," she admitted. "I've said and done things no one deserves. I was wrong, completely, utterly wrong." She paused, the weight of her words settling over the room. "What most of you don't know is that my little sister, Mariah, has been battling leukemia. Seeing her lose her hair during treatment filled me with fear and pain, and I lashed out at Amara because she reminded me of what I was struggling to face." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Kelsey's vulnerability cast her actions in a new light, revealing the pain behind her behavior. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said, her voice softening, "but I promise to do better, to be better." When the assembly ended, the usual chatter of students was replaced with subdued conversations about what they had just witnessed. Amara remained in her seat, her thoughts racing. Kelsey's apology had been raw and unexpected, peeling back the layers of her persona to reveal a girl wrestling with her own demons. Amara found herself outside Ms. Carter's art classroom later that day. She hesitated before knocking softly. Ms. Carter looked up with a warm smile. "Amara, come in," she said. "I was hoping you'd stop by." For the next hour, Amara poured out her thoughts and feelings, her confusion and anger blending with a faint empathy for Kelsey's struggles. Ms. Carter listened attentively, her presence steady and non-judgmental. "Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook," Ms. Carter said gently. "It's about freeing yourself from anger and resentment. But it's also okay to take the time you need to heal and set boundaries that protect your well-being." As Amara left the classroom, her heart felt lighter. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting or excusing what had happened. It meant reclaiming her own peace and deciding how to move forward. Not for Kelsey, but for herself. Amara's heart raced with every step as she approached the moment she had both feared and anticipated for weeks. It was wig day, and the school grounds buzzed with activity. As she pushed open the heavy doors, a vibrant sea of colorful wigs and decorated headwear greeted her. Students milled about, some laughing and pointing at particularly outlandish creations, others adjusting their wigs with nervous hands. The air was electric, a mix of excitement and apprehension. Walking through the main hallway, Amara's eyes darted across the crowd. Familiar faces looked unfamiliar beneath elaborate disguises, and the usual cliques seemed to have dissolved, at least temporarily. A few students nodded in her direction, offering tentative smiles. As the morning unfolded, an atmosphere of openness took root. In classrooms and common areas, students gathered in small groups to share stories they had kept hidden for years. A senior named Jake, known for his prowess on the field, revealed his struggle with trichotillomania. His voice trembled as he spoke about the shame he had felt and the relief of finally opening up. In the cafeteria, a makeshift stage hosted an open mic session. One by one, students stepped forward to share their experiences with hair loss, illness, and personal struggles. Amara listened, her throat tight with emotion as peers she thought she knew bared their souls to an attentive audience. As lunchtime drew to a close, a sudden urge pushed Amara toward the stage. Her palms grew clammy, and her heartbeat quickened. She could feel the weight of the room's attention as she climbed the steps. Taking a deep breath, she let her fingers brush the edge of her wig. In one swift motion, she removed it, revealing her smooth scalp to the entire school. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, followed by a moment of stunned silence. Amara's heart pounded in her ears as she braced for the reaction she had dreaded for so long. But instead of ridicule or pity, a wave of applause and cheers filled the room. Students stood to their feet, clapping and shouting encouragement. Some approached the stage to offer hugs and kind words. Amara felt an unexpected warmth spreading through her chest, her fears melting into a profound sense of acceptance. Throughout the afternoon, the impact of Wig Day became unmistakable. Social barriers crumbled, replaced by a newfound sense of empathy and connection. In the art room, students worked side by side on a collaborative mural, their differences forgotten as they created a vibrant visual of their shared experiences. The day culminated in a special assembly, where Mariah made a surprise appearance. She strode onto the stage, her wig adorned with glittery swirls and inspiring words. Her confidence radiated, infecting the room with joy. The entire auditorium erupted in applause, a sea of colorful wigs bouncing in unison. Watching Mariah speak, Amara felt a shift in the school's atmosphere. The walls of judgment and fear that had divided them were crumbling, replaced by a sense of community and mutual respect. Wig Day had become more than just an event. It marked the beginning of a new chapter for Westview High, one where empathy and understanding reigned. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the empty courtyard, Amara and Kelsey stood side by side. They gazed at the remnants of the day, fading posters and scattered decorations, symbols of a revolution of kindness. Kelsey broke the silence, her voice thoughtful. "I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad I messed up that day in the cafeteria." Amara raised an eyebrow, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Oh," Kelsey nodded. "If I hadn't been so awful, we might never have learned how to be kind."